Hello everyone, how's it going today? I am really happy to finally be over COVID. I know I still sound kind of weird, but I'm just so ecstatic that I can finally say I am pretty much over it. We tested negative yesterday when we took our test, so now I want to get back into filming. I've got so many fun ideas for the holiday season. Some of these are holiday related, some of them aren't. First one I want to show you is just manga series that have made me cry, or maybe even hysterically cry. So let's just jump into the video. I did just get out of the shower, so my hair is still wet. The first manga I want to talk about is I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. This is by Yoro Sumino and Izumi Kirihara. This is a, I think, 2-volume originally series. I have the omnibus edition collecting those volumes. And the artwork is good. I think this was originally a light novel, if I'm not mistaken, but it's also a manga now. It also has a TV adaptation, and I think even a live adaptation. So you've got a lot of ways that you can consume this story if you are interested in it. This is one of those manga series that I feel like is kind of cry bait. Do not pick this up unless you are just in the mood for a good cry. It's very good. I don't want to discourage anyone from partaking in this medium, but it is made to make you cry. At least that is the intent. It's a beautiful story about friendship, maybe even a little bit of love in there. It could be interpreted, I think, either way. I saw it more as a friendship story from two characters who maybe have had issues with making friends in the past. And with it being so short, you think that it would just be go, 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 no time to really build anything. But they did an amazing job really building that relationship between the two main characters and making you feel so invested in their relationship. And then at the end, it just punches you right in the face. I remember knowing it was probably going to be sad when I picked it up. I didn't look into it at all. I just kind of was in the mood for a one-shot kind of thing. And I read it in the bathtub, the very ending. And I was just in the bathtub like, ugly crying like a baby. I'll never forget that. Like, it's unforgettable to me that a story that's so simple and has been done before pretty much can be so sad. If you've seen A Walk to Remember, then you kind of have an idea of how this is gonna go. A girl is very sick. Yeah, you kind of can tell what's gonna happen based off looking at the cover and reading the back of the book. But I do highly recommend this story if you are in for a good cry, because it was fantastic. Maybe even therapeutic, some would say. The next series on this list is my absolute favorite manga series as of right now. It could change any day, but it's gonna be hard to beat my favorite. That is Fruits Basket by Natsuki Takuya. Sorry for the interruption. I had to go get a coffee because I'm a dry-throated bee. Fruits Basket by Natsuki Takuya. This is my current favorite my ongoing current favorite series. It is a completed series, so it's not really ongoing, but at the moment it's my favorite series, if that makes sense. I'm kind of rambly at this point. This series is meant for teens, but I would honestly probably gauge it a little older because of the dark nature and violence that can be within this series, which is very surprising to some people. I think for me, when I started reading this, I was very young and a teenager, and I was picking it up. I think I caught up to like volume 7 in the stores, and then I was just waiting like 3 to 5 months for the next volume to come out. And I was very surprised at how violent the series became. And I watched the anime, and it was violent, but not nearly as violent as the manga can be. So if you really want to absorb the full scope of this story, darkness, romance, friendship, and all, I do recommend that you read it. There's really nice collector's editions that you can get. I know it's hard to find the originals, but don't worry about that. It's okay. It still reads just the same. I was very, very impressed with how I felt mature while reading this. I felt mentally mature because I was reading these complex relationships between family members and friends and parents and siblings and teachers. I had never read anything so full of characters who had all of these different ways of life and different stories that they came from and trauma that they dealt with. If I had to sum this series up, it's half romance, half trauma. I think that's a good way to put it. A loss of loved one. There's so much in this series that you're going to find that is very traumatizing. So if you're easily triggered, or if you're someone who has trauma from your past, I do recommend looking up before you read this one, or even any of the series in this video actually, because I could see someone being very, very shocked when they get to certain parts of this one if they're not prepared for it. This series holds a lot of nostalgia for me. I reread it every like 2 to 3 years just so I can re-experience some of those moments for the first time, because you do forget a lot of the little details throughout the years. I did watch the original anime series back when it came out a long time ago in the early 2000s, and it was good, but now if I watch it I cringe because it has outdated a lot and they did not complete the manga. I think they stop around volume 5 or 6. So if you want to watch this instead of reading it, please watch the new one that came out I think in 2022. It's so good. It is so well done. They even included some things that the author says weren't in the manga, and they weren't, and they were just little extras that I think really added something to those moments from behind the scenes. Also, I want to point out, I don't know where this misconception happened, but Fruits Basket is not a harem. It's not. If anything, there might be 2 people that you think are going to be the love interest, but it very quickly, I feel like, shows you that that's not the case. It is one person. I don't know who decided that this was a harem or whatever, but, or a reverse harem. There is no harem in this at all. I don't know what's going on next door. There's some apartments over there and some crazy stuff happens. Please ignore it. But yes, please give Fruits Basket a try if you have not. I know it's super popular, so most people have probably at least given it a try. I have to talk about it on this because even to this day, when I reread it, I cry. There are moments where I just turn into a puddle of mush because I cannot fathom how much love these people have for each other. And it's just so sweet and refreshing to see young love. I love young love. It's so cute. The next series on this list is Fullmetal Alchemist by Hiromu Arakawa. I have not fully read the entire manga. I do want to preface that. I've only read some of it, and I have watched all of the anime series and read some of the little extra comics that weren't included in the original manga. I don't know every little detail of everything. Talking about it, I just want to be upfront with you. This did make me cry. One section in particular, because I remember never had read manga about it when the first original anime came out, just Fullmetal Alchemist, on Toonami or Adult Swim, whatever it was back in the day. And I was a teenager and I was in high school and middle school, and I was watching this stuff and really into it. And I would stay up so late on a Saturday night when I knew I had to go to church in the morning. I would stay up till 12, 1, 2 a.m. and wait for a new episode of Fullmetal Alchemist. It was so exciting. And I remember one fateful night, my favorite character dies in a very tragic and mentally taxing way. It was not a satisfying death or heroic in my opinion. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't good either. And so I just remember crying my eyes out and being in pure shock because I had never experienced that in an anime that age. I'd never dealt with loss like this. So it was my first real trauma of watching a character that I cared about dying. And then after that point, it was just downhill. I feel like every anime character that I fell in love with after that point died. So I kind of felt like I was cursed, but this was the beginning of it. Cried to a level that is unimaginable. And I was on the phone. Me and my friend call each other when we would watch some of our shows late at night. We would make sure that our phone didn't ring and wake up our parents, but we would call each other on our landlines and we would just be like, oh my God, I cannot believe that just happened. Oh my God, he's so cute. You know, we would do that. It was kind of fun. And we were on the phone during that person's death and we were just quiet and in dumbfounded and in shock. And I remember just being like, did that really happen? It was so sad. If you know who it is, you know what I'm talking about. I love that character so much and I'm still devastated to this day by that loss. The next series on this list that made me cry is Sweat and Soap by Kentetsu Yamada. This is the newer one who is also at the very tippy top where my favorite series are. I have a hard time choosing between Fruits Basket and Sweat and Soap, but I think Fruits Basket just holds a little bit more nostalgia for me. We will see if that ever changes in the future, but for now it's very close. Probably number 2 on my list. This series made me cry because of joy. I don't think there was a single bad cry I had from this series, but this series is about 2 characters who, at the beginning it's kind of kinky, like a smelling kink, if that makes sense. So I understand people who tried it out and were kind of pushed away initially from that because it is kind of weird. I admit that I was kind of weirded out at first. But once you get past like the first 3 volumes, it stops being like a kink related thing and it becomes more of a true relationship type story. We have these two characters, the lady who is very sensitive about her sweat and her smells, and then the guy who is just a golden retriever, but also he's just really supportive and understands what she's going through in a way that only someone who truly loves you can understand and accept you. I feel like this series is one of the few that I've read currently that are so realistic in how a relationship should be in a healthy way. And I'm just so happy that we got this in English, because I think about it every day. I think about this series so much. These characters remind me a lot of myself and my husband in certain ways, not always, definitely not every single way, but they remind me of us. And I think that you could probably find yourself and your significant other if you have a healthy relationship within these characters. And I think that's like a great way to get people really invested in your characters. And they're just so realistic. They don't look gorgeous and flawless and have no issues. They're people. They feel like real people who are going through real self-insecurities and job issues and learning to move in with someone and the possibility of having children with someone that you kind of just met out of nowhere and you're all of a sudden connected to this person. Like, it's kind of scary when you think about it like that. Both of these partners make mistakes constantly. Like, they'll do something that is just not very nice and is very selfish to their partner, and then they will have to learn how to cope with that insecurity and how to grow from it and how to be honest and speak to each other like adults and just communicate. It is the sexiest thing in the world is communication, and I think that this series really highlights that is the most important part of a relationship. And the last series on this list, I only did 5 just because I didn't want to go too far, is Wotakoi. This is by Fujita. Everyone knows about Wotakoi as well. This is a series. It's pretty much about this girl who's a fujoshi, or someone who likes BL manga, and she also writes it, and then she falls in love with this guy who plays video games, and there's another girl who likes cosplay and another guy who likes manga. It's just a bunch of nerds who fall in love with each other. Some of them are kind of already in a relationship and some of them kind of start to fall in love with each other throughout the series. I really love this one because not only is it hilarious, it's super funny, but I cried because at the very end there are a couple of very sweet moments that just seemed like, even though as a child, an adult, and a preteen, and you finally get to your grown adulthood, you still have insecurities about yourself and the things that you enjoy, and you feel judged over things, whether it's the way you dress, what you eat, the way that you speak, your hobbies, what you do on the weekends. It's really hard to feel confident in every single thing that you do in life. And I think that when you find a partner who loves you despite what you're into, or they love you because of what you're into, and they don't just put up with you, it's really awesome to be with someone who shares the same interests as you. Or if they don't, they learn to enjoy those interests because you like them and they want to be closer to you on a different level. So I just think that that's really something special, and this series really hit me in that, because I had only ever been with one other person who likes the things that I like, and that's my husband. So it was just really reflective in me and my life and being accepted for who I am and the things that I like, and really nice to see that reflected in this manga. So I highly recommend it as well if you're looking for something that's very sweet and funny. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for watching this video. I do apologize for all the little break cuts from my voice cutting out and needing to cough, and I tend to be drinking out of this mug every time I make a video, I've noticed, but it's just a big nice mug. I like it. I've got my tree up. I'm feeling a lot better and I hope to keep recovering. I do feel weak and kind of sluggish because I haven't been outside much. I think we took a walk yesterday for like an hour, and that was the most outdoor air and sun that I've gotten in like 2 weeks. So I feel really strange, but I'll get back into it. I'll get back into work and get back into a routine and feel more like myself. So I appreciate you guys being patient with me, not uploading as much as I would like to, but I do have a lot of videos planned for December. I hope that I can get them out. I'm not going to create like a vlogmas or a 25 days of manga thing like I tried last year, and then COVID struck last year in my family. So I'm not going to attempt to put a label on anything because I feel like that is just setting myself up for failure every time. So we're just going to go with the flow and do what I feel like needs to be done and I want to do and have fun with. I've been feeling really inspired lately, so I hope to continue this and growing my channel. So I do appreciate you new guys who are here and you've subscribed. If you are new, please feel free to comment, like, and subscribe. on this video. It helps me go further in the algorithm and get new ideas on how to entertain you and have fun at the same time and talk about manga and anime and things that I really like. So thank you so much for being here, and I will see you in the next video. Bye guys!